Hey, what's up, everybody? UltraMaximus here, doing a little bit of repeat performance of my 12th video due to the horrible video quality that occurred last evening. So last night I did this haul video like real late, like close to midnight. So I didn't actually watch it after I was done, but I did this morning, and oh my god, it was horrible. So I'm redoing this one for the people who do subscribe to me or on CBSI who are watching. I appreciate you watching twice. Try to do better time this time around, but we'll see. And let's get into it. So this is my 12th haul video. Um, give an exclusive link to CBSI and of course my followers. Yeah, everybody come check out what I picked up this last couple of weeks. Um, Pickups as well as some uncovering because I did some treasure hunting. As you can see by the surroundings, I am actually in a different location than I was in my previous videos, and now I am actually back in my own office in my home. So I got to put all my crap on the walls and put my crap everywhere else. So I got my own little space now. So it's kind of a cool thing. Um, but in the process, I was actually digging through some boxes and some stuff, and I actually saw a inside image in a box of previews and things like that. So this is actually an inside image number 6. It does not predate Wildcats Trilogy number 1, but it does have the first cover appearance of the Gen 13 kids. It does actually have them as Gen X. This is, of course, the name that Jim Lee had originally had for the group. And, of course, once that was fought against by Marvel, they changed it to Gen 13. And Gen 13 was, of course, born out of that and then first appeared due to a delayed release of their own book in the Death Meat Black. So this one right here, again, first cover appearance of the Gen 13 kids. And it's also, I believe this may actually be the first cover art done by Jeff Scott Campbell because he had done the interior pages in the Wild, or it was the Wildstorm or Homage Studios swimsuit special. So he did some interior pages in that, and then his next work was actually in the Wildcat source book. So that was his second work. So this actually technically qualifies as the first Jeff Scott Campbell cover. I don't know, some little crazy spec for you guys there. So inside image number 6, August 1993. If you don't have it and you're a Jeff Scott Campbell collector, you'll probably want to pick this one up. On the flip side, there is an Eric Larson Super Patriot drawing because it is a flip book. I did see only one copy of this inside image on eBay at the time I did the video last night. So redoing it this morning, you get a fresh opportunity to see it. I would pick it up if you're a Campbell collector. So that was just a cool thing I was able to dig out. And I was also looking through some of those old pamphlets I had of some American entertainment, some clearances on some books and stuff like that. Just crazy stuff from now 25 years ago. And it is making me feel a little bit older about myself. But nonetheless, moving on, always steady pickup for me because it is a book that my wife does like to read, and this is of course The Walking Dead. Number 177 is of course the introduction of a new character. He is dwelling on the cover, and the last 2 issues have had first appearances in them, and they've also had a Bill Sienkiewicz variant cover. Not many people were known about the Rick faced one that happened 3 issues prior. Because it actually was added as a late solicit. And, smart shops, of course, when they find out there was a Walking Dead book that wasn't in the original previews or whatever, they're going to order it, especially, shops who pay attention. And I've noticed that, in this day and age of speculation, that there's a ton of shops who are keeping an ear to the ground on the internet pulse just to find out, what's going to sell. And speaking of that kind of stuff, we have right here the next big book that did make it into the Hot 10 as well. And this, of course, is Rick and Morty Presents The Vindicators. And, of course, you can see on the train guy on his shoulder, there's Pickle Rick. Pickle Rick also makes a appearance inside the pages of this book. There is a variant cover also. This is the B cover for this one. And lots of fan service going on in here. They basically give fans what they want. Scary Terry makes an appearance and changes his name to Scarepool. That's a definite shot at Deadpool. Of course, Pickle Rick making his appearance. The Vindicators making their appearance. Noob, of course, he's a fan favorite, and he does also make his, I believe, first in print appearance in here. Pretty cool stuff. if you're a Rick and Morty fan, you're definitely going to enjoy the book. And of course, Rick and Morty fans are rabid people. Um, no offense if you are a Rick and Morty fan and you're watching this. I dig the show too. I think it's very, it's got some very deep thinking things that a lot of people do tend to miss, but it's very dark. Um, but you guys are crazy. I mean, I live in Florida where the Szechuan sauce people were beating up people over not getting Szechuan sauce. But now Szechuan sauce is widely available, so you all can not have to beat the crap out of each other in order to enjoy your chicken McNuggets. But moving on, beating the crap out of people is something that sometimes happens, and just sometimes people deserve it. What we got here is Harley Quinn not beating the crap out of anybody, but she's actually getting her hand kissed by what appears to be the Penguin. And it's a Frank Cho variant cover. And this is, of course, Frank Cho has just always been just knocking these out since he has been doing the variants. And I do support Frank Cho in continuation of these variant covers. But it is kind of weird seeing Harley in her backdated costume and with her updated hair. And I know that's kind of like the thing, they're trying to bridge all the gaps of Harley fans. Speaking of Harley, of course, the Neo Joker /2 Harley /White Knight story going on here. Batman White Knight is a spectacular read. If you aren't reading it, you should be. I have not read this issue yet. I am not caught up, but I will be eventually. Look forward to it because everybody keeps saying that Sean Murphy's story is probably one of the best Batman books done in a while. And of course, with the news of a New Gods movie, this one right here, Mr. Miracle, is proving to be, it's probably going to be the book to read as far as modernized Mr. Miracle. But there was a ton of classic books by Mr. Miracle that you should be expecting on. Of course, Mr. Miracle #1, Mr. Miracle #4. And there's just, if you go and look, there's a ton of first appearances through the early Mr. Miracle volume that you probably should be picking up. But of course, New Gods, Dark Side, all that stuff should be coming through the wire. And I honestly say that this is the last issue I subscribe to of Action Comics until they get through this Action Comics 1000. I'm not actually shelling out the money for all the different variants. I am not picking up any of the different variants. I think I'm just going to wait for the dust to settle because I know that the print run on all of these things are going to be massive. There's no reason to rush or to speculate on Action 1000. You're not going to make a profit on it. The book is going to be overprinted by today's collection standards, and the only way that you will make a profit on it is if you sit on it for long term and possibly hope in 100 years that your great grandkids, come across your copy and it's still in near mint condition and there's a market for it. But that being said, Action Comics 997, 998, 999 have all three have been proven to be just some spectacular work by Carrie Andrews. And here is 999. If you have not seen it, this is just a wicked looking cover. I'm sorry, I got a little bit of a glare in here. A little bit of a daylight outside, keeping me down in here. But anyway, I hope you can see this cover good enough because this is definitely a cover you should be picking up if you are into Carrie Andrews' artwork. Spectacular looking book again. Okay. So, Dark Side, big news, of course. You probably want to keep an ear down for Grail. I'm hoping she does well. I've had people messaging me about my combo pack. I have listed on my eBay page, and no, I will not sell it for less. So, nonetheless, Wonder Woman and her Jenny Frisian fantasticness. This right here is a Dark Side centric issue. This is an issue that I did miss at both of my local comic shops because they were just too far banged up. I am subscribed to it at 2 different shops in order to assure that I get a copy. It does not always happen. But thankfully, my comic shop has come through with these because I think I got all these. I got a bunch of books that just came in. So my comic shop, DC Comics and Toys, and Ultimate Comics. Ultimate kind of did me dirty, but luckily I got a book fixed. But this Wonder Woman version cover, of course, number 40. Good stuff there. Then 41. Everybody was talking about 41 having the first appearance or a newer appearance of Wonder Woman's brother. Keeping up with that cool stuff. Glad I'm paying cover price for these. Because a lot of the earlier Frisian covers are starting to people are starting to ask a lot of money for them. 15, 16 bucks an issue for a book that has a $3 cover price is definitely a good return. Especially these Frisian variant covers, which are just hard to find in high grade sometimes, especially at this time. If you didn't pick them up on day of release, trying to find them now, Spawn Break free, it's going to be tough because I've been taking through boxes in multiple stores and I barely get any traction there. So, but nonetheless, the next book up from the DC read list is going to be Superman. I did get a chance to flip through this one. It was a really good read. I know part two of the story should be out this week. But Superman 42 with the first appearance of the John Superboy Bizarro version. So there hasn't been a version of this Superboy, obviously, because he hasn't been around all that long. But a Bizarro version of this Superboy did finally appear, and of course it shows Bizarro and his family. And this is quite the setup issue as far as they take a lot of build up to get to that last page. However, I'm probably going to be quitting Superman here soon because I don't want to read a Bendis written Superman story because it's just going to drag on 15 issues before anything gets resolved. But I've been enjoying this Superman volume just because a lot of the issues are either one part, two part stories, or they're tie into some other stuff going on in the DC universe, which is cool. But the Superman #1 of this volume, the regular cover, it's a good looking cover. Well, the variant for number 42 here is actually a swipe of that with the Bizarro side. And if you're a Bizarro fan, and this being the first appearance of this Bizarro John, I don't know if this is long term hold, good spec or what, but I picked up two. John Boy Myers has also been knocking it out the park on the Superman variants, all the way back to there was a all blue cover, and then you just see the Superman stuff coming blended in the same color as his outfit. That's a wicked cover. John Boy is a great artist though. So moving into the Marvel pile now. Ultimate Comics, I got a 3-pack order from them. Near mint is subjective. I understand that. This one is definitely going to take a press in order to get some of those time stress out of it, but still a clean copy of the book. This is Marco Derjevic, I think is how you correctly pronounce the name. This variant right here, of course, is him holding Hope, and this is from the Volume 2 ongoing Cable series that ran for 26 issues if you really want to be technical about it, if you know your titling and how Marvel has worked with this title. But this run right here is, of course, the story of how Cable takes Hope into the future and is chased by Bishop, who thinks killing Hope will save his timeline from the crappiness that happened to it. So that's a volume of Cable that if you aren't picking up now, you're probably too late, because if Hope does appear, when Hope appears, that volume is going to get a lot more attention, as it should. Yes, it has a high print run. There's a 1 in 50 variant for #1 that is a Liefeld variant that used to sell for like $10. I don't think that variant will be $10 going forward, even though it's a Liefeld variant. A lot of people still like this volume of Cable is good. All the way up to issue 26, which is just basically a story about Deadpool raiding all of Cable's stuff and basically taking up the mantle of Cable as himself. But issue 25, of course, is the story of how Cable and Deadpool save Hope in Alaska. So don't let that be the unsung hero, because it shouldn't be, because it's definitely going to be a key going forward, especially if Deadpool 2 is heavily based off of that issue. So nonetheless, moving on to Deadpool, we have ourselves a little this right here is that secret comic variant. If you aren't picking these up, this is a really cool thing. It's got a separate story that happens on the variant covers. Marvel got me with that gimmick bad, but they also got me with this one too, which is the Warlock variant for the Despicable Deadpool number 296, which don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be relaunching Deadpool with a new #1 right around the same time the movie comes out, as well as Marvel doing their fresh start. Digging through some bins, of course, I did actually find this Uncanny X-Force variant, which has a very Art Adams type of appeal to it, but it's not Art Adams at all. It's actually a Bradshaw variant cover. But the booty on Psylocke says Art Adams all day. I like picking this one up because I picked it up for like $2 and change. So there is another variant. There's a variant of Angel actually on the cover of issue 19. So we're going from X-Force into some other things, or some Deadpool stuff into Venom. Of course, everybody knows the Venom movie's coming up. So there was this little beauty in the back issue bins right here. Perfect 9.8 candidate, black cover with red, stripes on the side. Of course, guys, how hard this is to obtain in high grade. But I was able to obtain one from high grade for like $4 and change. So really good purchase on my behalf. I think this is definitely the Venom #1. Like if you're going to count, um, I don't know how they counted it. If they counted Lethal Protector as his true #1 on an ongoing series and stuff like that, but that's actually the Venom ongoing #1 from Volume 1. Then we have issue number 163. Okay, so everybody remembers the Stephanie Hans variant for X-Men Blue 21. Huge book, 1 in 50, underordered. The X-Men Blue Annual also had a 1 in 25 variant, underordered. But the order started taking up once people realized there was going to be a crossover with Venom and X-Men. So, but little did we know that the X-Men themselves were going to be getting their own symbiotes, and that's actually what you see on the cover here. Except if you look closely on the cover, Jean Grey doesn't exactly have a symbiote. She's got a poison. The poison character, of course, I think was introduced in one of these Venomverse crossovers. Venom has become the 1990s Wolverine here in the 20 teens here. So basically Marvel is just pumping him and putting him in just about everything they possibly can. However, the crossovers between the Guardians of the Galaxy and X-Men are awesome. So seeing a space adventure with Venom and X-Men, it's still kind of awesome. All the stuff they did also in the Guardians of the Galaxy volume where they're talking about the Venom homeworld, the Clintar, and all that kind of stuff. It all has a lot to do with what's going on in this book too. So it does all tie together. It's the only reason I'm picking them up because, of course, I do actually still like a lot of Marvel Cosmic. But in this book right here, again, the poisons are basically the enemy of the symbiote. They do actually kill their hosts. And poor Jean Grey. Jean Grey just got resurrected, right? Like the adult Jean Grey. I know she just got resurrected, but she died. This is the younger Jean Grey. She died in Jean Grey #10. I did not pick up my copy of Jean Grey #11 because I missed out on the variant cover that I wanted, and it's just been on the back burner of purchases because it's not a priority for me right now. So I don't know actually how they resolved that storyline and how the Phoenix, basically knocked out a whole bunch of the world's strongest psychics, Quentin Quire, Stepfords, Emma Frost, Rachel Summers. But that's all going on in the Jean Grey book. But this Jean Grey is the young Jean Grey again, and Marvel's editorial, guys, if you're killing a character in one book and she's still alive and well in another book and you don't explain that, well, there are people that catch that and realize how stupid you guys are. That's just me. I know I should probably be an editor because I'm very nitpicky, but whatever. They kill Jean Grey again in this one because she gets basically told by Eddie Brock basically tells Cyclops and all the rest of the X-Men that once the poison is taken over, it's going to consume the host and there's nothing left. So Jean Grey is dead yet again. Congratulations, everybody. You killed Jean Grey, I don't know, like 50 times already in her life. Of course, this is Marvel, where death is about as permanent as a temporary tattoo. So, but the young Jean Grey has officially died in Venom 163. There are 0 variant covers for that book. The previous Venom issue had a variant cover, also had a store variant. The previous part of the story was actually X-Men Blue #22 that had that, I believe it was a Nakayama cover. Same guy who did that Venom Guardians of the Nowhere variant back during Secret Wars. Looks almost the same as that cover, honestly, only this time instead of just the Venom part, it's actually got the X-Men on it. So that book, again, has now selling at ratio or less, and honestly, it needs to be a lot less. It is not on par with the Hans variant. The Hans variant is definitely, one of those once in a while perfect storm type of books. So, but Poison X crossover, all in all, I've read most of the books, and it was a decent read. It's not up there with the Trial of Jean Grey at all, but it's still a decent read. Okay, and then of course the latest hype that we've been experiencing has been about this story right here involving this guy and the Carnage symbiote. So we're still in the symbiote stuff. 795 second printing, beautiful black cover. Oh, spine break free. It was so hard to find. But it is a beautiful looking book, and I'm glad to have been able to pick that one up. It's probably got a short lifespan though. I don't know, for whatever reason, I like the Ramos cover on this one, and I actually picked this one up over top of the regular cover, which is probably a bad move on my part. But I'm not really a huge Spider-Man reader, but it is one of those books that I will collect when there's a good story. And counting down, of course, until Venom does actually hit. These true believers are out there for $1, Venom versus Spider-Man. And for our hardcore grinder guys who bought 50, 60, 100 copies of this one, trying to corner the market, we're out there flipping this dollar book for $2.50 or more. Bless your hearts, because you guys are out there trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. So but still, it's a very affordable way for you to obtain Amazing Spider-Man 300 to read the story of Amazing Spider-Man 300. Um, Everybody should at least read it. I mean, it's a pretty good story, and if you're not collecting it online, that's the easiest way to probably obtain it. Okay, so obviously I'm a Transformers fan. You can tell by the stuff on the wall behind me, and I do read other stuff. You can tell by the other crap behind me. Um, Guardians of the Galaxy 150 was technically their final issue. Then they led into the Infinity Countdown Adam Warlock, and then Infinity Countdown Prime, and now we're in Infinity Countdown, and we're going to have some Darkhawk. Everybody who's a Darkhawk follower obviously loves that, but Infinity Countdown #1 had an Arigrana variant for it. So this is the Captain Marvel Arigrana variant. This one did actually get opened back up for orders prior to final order cutoff, but was then promptly sold out again. So this book has probably sold a lot of copies. There's a lot of key stuff that actually happens in this book, though. If you're a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, this is definitely a book that you want to read. It resolves issues with the story that was in all new Guardians of the Galaxy leading up to this one, and that would be, of course, the Gardener um, and Groot. So apparently Loki is responsible for Groot being only to say, "I am Groot." But apparently Loki had corrupted the Gardener many years ago, and the Gardener who was responsible for the life on Planet X, where Groot is from, apparently was infected with something that Loki did to him, and that was cleared up, and now we have Groot who now has tangible, understandable voice, so he's actually speaking more words. So basically, Groot has been cured, and I don't know if they're gonna just undo this just to keep him I am Groot for the for the movies and stuff like that. We'll see. Um, but this Infinity Countdown #1 Grana variant, ridiculous looking artwork, and I am ridiculous by really good. That's what I mean by that. And it was so good that there was a company out there that also did a store variant. I don't know how some of you guys feel about store variants in the market, but I'm sorry, but this is one of those books that does look good as trade dress wiped off. But version covers, yeah, I know they're not for everybody, but this is definitely one of those books that in a slab would look spectacular, especially a blue label, no signatures. Even though a yellow label probably still look pretty good off the gold accents that she's got, but I still think blue label on this one is probably going to be what's in its future. And yes, I did get two because that is a wicked looking cover. Also, we got news on all new Wolverine. We do know that she's going to be going back to a regular X-23 title. This right here is, of course, the Richter variant. I thought that was appropriate for them to put Richter on that variant, seeing as he was in the Logan movie where Laura got her mainstream exposure. Okay, so there's been a lot of chat about Avengers in the last couple of weeks, especially because they've been going weekly. I think they're the last 10 weeks because I have last week's book in my hand. This right here is, of course, the return of Bruce Banner fully. The little cameo that he had in the last page of the last issue was cool. But so Bruce Banner again has been dubbed the Immortal Hulk, and they actually go back into detail about all the different times that Bruce Banner's been killed and been revived. And there's a lot of there's some good resources online. Some guys talking about some of these things. I did pick up the variant cover for it too, just because it's kind of funny actually. I don't pick up Scotty Young covers very often, but when I saw this one, I had to get it. So everybody likes the fact that Bruce Banner is back as the Hulk. The Immortal Hulk actually spans, again, through many different stories. The most recent would be, of course, through the Civil War II, The Fallen, and of course the Civil War II story where Hawkeye is basically responsible for killing Bruce Banner. The other things are, of course, what was it? Uncanny Avengers. The run that had Deadpool and Cable in it with Captain America before he went all Hail Hydra. That actually has the Immortal Hulk in it because the Hand steals the Bruce Banner's body and turns him into the Hulk, revives him, and the Hulk goes on a rampage for a little bit, and it takes Dr. Voodoo and Dr. Voodoo's brother to take that down. So they take care of that, and then Immortal Hulk is basically next appearing in here. So I think also during Secret Empire they revived him for an issue or two. So Bruce Banner is, of course, the Immortal Hulk, and he will be getting his Immortal #1 thanks to Marvel and their fresh start. So be on the lookout for that. Then we got here, we got Thanos #14 third printing, and I think this is a pretty cool cover. The second printing has him and Adam Warlock on it. If you are not reading this Thanos book, you are probably dead to the world and don't realize how good it actually is. There's a reason why that book has gone third printing, and it's because not only do people swallow up these second prints, third prints, just because they're collecting full runs, but no, because the book actually has a really, really good story and it's definitely worth reading. Cosmic Ghost Rider, I know, is a sore button for a lot of people. They think the speculation hype about him is false, but I watched that thing grow organically like nobody's business. I was talking about Old King Thanos more. I thought that was going to carry the book more. But it turns out people like the fact that Ghost Rider is Frank Castle, and he's been basically desensitized and the last human being left on Earth. You really need to be reading that story. If you're not, you're just missing out. But on the verge of second printings, of course, a lot of times these second prints hit and they are low print runs, and sometimes they have a cool cover, and sometimes they take a splash page from interior and they turn it into a second printing, like they did right here with this X-Men Red. This X-Men Red has actually got, right from the panel where the little poor mutant girl right here is being saved by Jean Grey, is actually being shot at by her mother and a mob. So if you think about that, that's kind of wild. But great cover on that one, I think, just because I didn't actually pick up the regular cover. I do have one book that has not made it here. It is a X-Men Red variant. I'm still waiting for it to ride, but I'll share that in a later video. But Clayton Crane, if you guys know Clayton Crane, he's done some pretty sick Venom looking Venom artwork. He's also done a lot of other books. He also did a Valiant book that I'm pretty fond of called Rye. Right here, X-Men Blue number 23. He did himself a little Wolfsbane variant. And this variant right here is one of those percentile variants like the Richter variant. So it's one of those you got to get from your stores and you got to pre-order. Anytime you see these books in previews or whatever, definitely give the 2 month heads up so they can get in there and qualify for these orders. So I love my local comic shops because, of course, whenever there's an insanely hot book or a book that I know is taken off, I'll usually put in a request for it. It doesn't always work out, but when it works out in my favor and it works out in my favor at cover price, I'm a pretty happy camper. So I was able to obtain one of these Moon Girls. This Moon Girl number 28 here with the first appearance of the Omnipotentus. So, okay, cool name. Means you know everything. So I hope you know everything, and I hope you know that that book is selling for close to $40, I believe. So, all right. Well, now I'm getting into the good stuff here, and by good stuff I mean the Transformers related stuff. I did have a pretty decent Transformers haul that came through. All right, so we got some good looking things here, and of course, not only did we get a good Transformers comic book haul, I got myself a couple of good things right here. This right here is the poor man's masterpiece Transformers. This would be the Power of the Primes, Optimus Prime. Is an evolution style figure. So what we have here is we have a smaller figure that is actually Orion Pax, and Orion Pax then combines with the trailer section and transforms into the awesome Optimus Prime, complete with Matrix of Leadership. But not only is this one cool, also sold in the same little instance was the Rodimus Prime. Now, I never had a Rodimus Prime figure as a kid. This is definitely another one of those figures that I could never find. I never had a Hot Rod figure even. I don't really particularly like this one as much as I do like the Optimus here, because this Optimus looks like a masterpiece. This one here has got some issues with its janky looking shoulders, but I'm not going to open it. There are aftermarket kits that actually fix some of this stuff. But here we have Hot Rod, and he also transforms into Rodimus Prime. So it's actually, both of these are basically 4 figures for me. But right here, of course, we have Rodimus Prime, and he has his very own right here, Matrix of Leadership himself. They are very different looking, but this right here, Power of the Primes, cool looking figures. Glad to have them in my collection. So now I have way too many Optimus figures. I think I have now a total of 5 different Optimus figures, and I think that's way too many. But Optimus Prime, I mean, he's an icon. So speaking of iconic Optimus covers, this right here would be Transformers Annual from 2017. This is, of course, the Transformers series that did end as well as the Transformers More Than Meets the Eye series. But they did not do More Than Meets the Eye Annual, as far as I remember, for 2017. So this one right here just kind of ran on. This does show an Orion Pax officer prior to becoming Optimus Prime, basically flashing the Autobot badge and kicking ass. And check out all the guns. Yeah, it's pretty awesome looking. This is definitely a cool looking book, but not only that, it is the IDW square bound annual. So 9.9s and 10s are going to be kind of possible with these just because of how the books are made. But besides that thick book, square bound, we also have right here, we have the Optimus Prime annual from 2018. So that is the two different annuals basically covering the bases. Starscream the movie. In this universe of IDW, Thundercracker is actually a big movie buff, TV show buff. He actually tries to write scripts and analyzes human interaction and human television. Watches a lot of TV. And he's approached by Starscream to basically make a propaganda movie about him. And pretty good read. If you're not into Transformers, is probably the least interesting thing you're hearing. But believe me, this is the IDW universe has got a lot more to offer than you believe. One of the only reasons why I'd be into it the way I am. Okay, so every now and then we get a connecting cover variant, stuff like that from IDW, but this time they changed it. They did a similar opposite perspective cover, I guess you can say. So from this Lost Light number 11 I'm about to show you, this is actually the view from the Autobot side. And what we have is Megatron and a bunch of the other Decepticons coming at him, firing some stuff at him. So this is again covered Lost Light number 11, which is basically an issue behind numbering wise on Optimus Prime, because this is the other view. This is the view from the Decepticon side, looking at the Autobots they're shooting at. So this is issue 12. So technically they connect, they belong together in a pair. Kind of cool. And then for Lost Light issue 12, we have the artist Livio Rondinelli doing his coverage of Megatron on the Lost Light. And don't forget, Megatron is indeed an Autobot. He's not a Decepticon any longer. So we got that one, and then we got the Livio cover for Optimus Prime number 13. Just fantastic covers, of course. Lost Light number 15, however, we have Scorponok, and we have this little girl in the side, and I said girl, yes, her name is Nickel. Nickel is a member of the Decepticon Justice Division. She is basically their medic, their mage, kind of like takes care of them. But if you're reading Lost Light, you understand what happened to the Decepticon Justice Division once Megatron got a hold of them. They were actually after Megatron because they used to basically, anybody who defected from the Decepticon movement was basically ordered to be killed by these guys in the Decepticon Justice Division, started by Megatron. Well, Megatron became an Autobot, and once they had found out that Megatron had become an Autobot, they put him on his very own list, and then they pursued him, and then they intended on killing him and things like that. But reading the final 6 issues from issues 50. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself there. Issues basically 45 through 55 of More Than Meets the Eye will explain that story in detail. It is a very, very highly recommended read. And also, Free Comic Book Day coming up here for Transformers. We have a Unicron Free Comic Book Day book coming out. So big news is Unicron, he's coming. IDW shelved him and said that they weren't going to use him until they needed to. And sales have now actually plummeted to about 5,000 copies per month for the paper. Digital does really well, which is what's keeping keeping them afloat, obviously. But we need print to still kind of be reasonable enough for them to make the comics. But Unicron does not make an appearance even in the pages. I actually went back and checked after my video last night because even I had questioned myself. Does he appear in the pages of any IDW Transformers book? No. He's referenced as Primus and his opposite. The word Unicron has been mentioned, but it's never shown a picture of him or anything like that. So in the IDW universe, this is technically considered the very first cover appearance of Unicron in an IDW book. Obviously, Unicron appeared in many other books over the years, of course, closer to the 1980s, where the movie was out. So, yeah, I've talked about it previously on CBSI, where there is a UK movie variant of the UK comic. Of the movie comic that was released in America. The movie comic for America has a cover date of December. The UK book has UK issue number 83 or 84. I think it might be 84, where it actually shows Galvatron on the cover, and it says finally the origin of Galvatron, and it shows Unicron behind him. I think I believe that is the actual first in-print appearance of Unicron. I think it predates the Transformers movie comic book. So if you have a Transformers UK 84, you probably are sitting on something worth holding. And we'll just see what happens with this Unicron thing. But take two went so much better. I want to thank you guys all, of course, for checking in and watching this video and seeing what I picked up. I always enjoy you guys adding me to your subscriber list. I am, of course, sharing on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Of course, got my sweet little eBay page. You want to see some of the stuff that I pick up that winds up for sale. And of course, just want to give a shout out to my CBSI homies and everybody out there who gives my video a view. So thanks again, and I'll catch you guys next time.